now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Uncle Neville Fredericks. Uncle Neville has served much of his life serving the community. Uncle was the mayor of the Kiama Municipal Council for 7 years. He's been a part of the Sai community for a number of years and brings a new perspective to the teachings of Swami. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Uncle Neville during his recent trip to Wellington. He's a fountain of knowledge and experience. I encourage you all to reach out to him over the course of the weekend. For all you rugby fans out there, you'll be interested to learn that Uncle actually played for the New South Wales rugby team slightly before the Waratahs franchise was established, and was even involved in a tour game against the All Blacks. So with that, please join me in welcoming Uncle Neville.
I acknowledge the divine Sai who resides in the heart of each one of you. Om Jai Sai. Our distinguished guests, Professor Gangadhara Sastry and Ashok Sankrani, we're very privileged to have you with us, and a very warm welcome to our zone. We're all looking forward to hearing you speak, and it's a great privilege to have you with us on this weekend. Thank you so much. Our Central Coordinator, Krishnan there, and National President, Doug, the Deputy Central Coordinator, and dear brothers and sisters, our distinguished elders, Sairam to you all. I have to say, when we played the All Blacks, we came second. I knew that would be. The Sai mission, as Swami clearly stated, was to re-establish righteousness on a firm footing. So my talk today is going to be essentially about the key element of his teachings, which is love. Love, the indispensable factor, the sine qua non. The words today that I'm going to speak about are guided by Swami as always. God is love, and this is the biggest topic that we can speak about when we speak about love. God is love. How do we talk about God? We cannot comprehend the one who is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, but we can feel and express love. Devoid of love, life is a barren waste, a joyless, dreary trudge through life. If one feels that they are not loved, they can fall into despair quite easily, into depression, lacking motivation and energy. If one is unable to express their love, their inherent love, they are susceptible to feelings of isolation and loss of self-confidence. And it's really not a happy place to be. Divine love is all-pervading. It is within us and around us. From this, one can take it that there is in each one of us an inexhaustible spring of love, inexhaustible, emanating from our spiritual heart. This is the soul, or the Atma, the spiritual heart, which Baba says is in the vicinity of the physical heart on the right side. Our spiritual heart is the origin of all of the love that we express. It is also the source of the voice of conscience. Love is the indispensable factor in our lives. And our task is to transform ourselves. Every human being loves to love and loves to be loved. If we are to have a happy, positive and joyful life, a service-oriented life, living in peace with equanimity, then selfless love must be a part of our lives moment by moment. With this boundless treasure within us, how do we foster it in everyday life? How do we express it? Bubba's words on this topic are gigantic. They're just, and so I'm just going to touch on the margins of his teachings, but I think points that personally appeal to me, and I treat Bubba, take him as the practical guru, the one who gives us advice about how to live our lives and enjoy life, and to live lives successfully in equanimity. So firstly, loving within the family. Many find it easiest to love within their families, and that's clear. But there is another side to family life, for it is where we can be seriously challenged. Is our love for each other in the family conditional? Some thoughts about the practical ways in which we can express love in our families are, firstly, respectfulness to one another. This is an essential foundation for all human relationships. As we are very close to each other in our families, we occasionally see flaws. Forbearance, tolerance and forgiveness is the expression of love within our family. They're all significant. The expression of gratitude for the work that is done within our families. Selfless service. The family is the place to practice this attitude. And the mother is usually the exemplar of selfless service. So, as Swami said, watch the mothers. One of our most important practical ways that we can express love in our families is not to be a burden on each other. Swami told me directly, help in the house. And I'm very strong. And I'm getting better at washing up, actually. Do your duty. Everyone in the home has their duty. Carry them out with beneficial feelings. The family is the place where there is an inclination from time to time to speak irritably. So, containment, eradication of irritable feelings is the essential to exercise in a family setting. So, in a nutshell, for love to flourish in the family, we must create a conducive environment. Speak sweetly, be tolerant, demonstrate forbearance to each other, and maintain our equanimities. With friends and associates, again, respectfulness is the foundation of interpersonal relationship and how we express love. Our task is to move from politeness to caring to respectfulness and finally to reverence. For reverence is a spiritually advanced way to look at others. And to achieve this, we need to see goodness to God within each other. And this can transform our own lives, as when we love another in this way, that love is returned to us. Do your duty, be reliable, keep your word. This is how we can be loving to the people we're engaged with. Selfless service to others. This is love expressed in practice. Acknowledgement and gratitude for the things that others do for us. But the key task that we have to avoid is do not criticise another. Baba says you have no right to criticise another. If one criticises another, we are demeaning our own reputation and reducing our self-confidence. And we cannot love another in that critical state of mind. So an optimistic attitude will uplift those around us. We must realise that our positive outlook will have a beneficial effect on everyone that we come into contact with. Love of society. Baba stated that society itself is an expression of divinity. We as a collective are an expression of divinity. Baba says the most important thing in engaging with society and having the right mindset is the expression of gratitude for all of the things we receive. We might say with a swell of pride, my house, my car, my education. But where did these things come from? Who worked in the fields and the factories, as Swami said? So this, we have to realise that everything we have is a gift of society. And we have to reject the feeling of, I did it, this is mine. For Swami said, they are the two things which make an individual poisonous. I did it, this is mine. Respect for the law and contribute to the upholding of the law in your country. Equality, treating everyone fairly and equitably, having no prejudices for anyone. All of these are important practical ways that we can express our love for society. Having compassion for those in need and serving according to your life circumstances and capability is love in action. A kindly gesture is equivalent to the greatest act of service that you can conceive, Swami said. See, it's all about a state of mind, a kindly gesture. When we accept Swami's advice that everyone is inherently good, if we practice maintaining this attitude in our minds in everyday life, we will find it easier to be deeply respectful to everyone. And that respectfulness is a precondition to reverence, which leads to love. The focus on this conference is unity. Universal love is the most powerful unifying force in the community, friendship or family. Baba said, love can bind all in a soft, silken symphony. Love of self, this is the capital S, the divinity within us. Baba told me directly that we can only love ourselves when we know that we are living in harmony with our conscience. It is difficult to love others unless we are self-confident and able to respect ourselves. And self-confidence cannot be gained unless we are living in harmony with our conscience. Our exemplary personal conduct is therefore essential if we are to live a purposeful life, a loving life in society. Love of nature. Some of Baba's words. Nature is the vesture of God. Without the gifts of nature, we could not survive or live. We have to give gratitude for nature's providence. Be sensitive to nature in all of its expressions. Love nature, all creatures and all environments. Contribute to the protection and enhancement of nature. Swami said that if we disregard the laws of nature and its environments, it will soon box our ears. And we've seen that around the world, haven't we? We've seen how an environment's collapsed, fallen and caused various society. And then finally to the biggest one, the love of God. Some of Baba's quotes on love of God are both beautiful and helpful from a practical spiritual perspective. He says, before you love God, you should love yourself. And after loving yourself, you should love society, and then the entire world be loved. If your love is not selfless, you cannot love the world. Love God without reserve. To love God destroys barriers to love. Love should be considered as the very breath of your life, the love that is manifest in all things equally. See that as the same love that is supreme consciousness. Love and you will be loved in return. Swami said we create our own life experience. If we love another, we will get love returned back. If I approach you with irritability and anger, I will get that reflected back. So so we create our own life experience, and I was rather shaken by that when I first read it, because I thought other people did things to me. But actually, that is not so. The central part of Baba's teaching is in regard to living in the world, is to see in other people that essential quality which is God, to love that quality and not be bothered at all by the misbehaviours or unsatisfactory conduct of other people. Do not be bothered by that. Look beyond that. We are asked by Baba to regard love as the sole reason for our existence, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that we are not separate from God, and that we are a wave of love on the ocean of love. There is nothing greater than love in this world. It is the most powerful thing in the universe, Baba says. And love is the means to realise the nectarine sweetness of life. All of these acts and attitudes are small acts of love towards the universal, omnipresent one who resides in every person. Each small act of love is significant. It can contribute to the upliftment of those around us. To achieve this ideal, to live in love, we must believe in our own inherent goodness. I think this is the most critical element. Having confidence in the goodness of all allows us to approach everyone in a confident way, not uncertain about it. Baba advises wrong action is the result of lack of knowledge, and if a person knew better, he or she would not conduct themselves so. In this way, we can avoid the inclination to judge another. Disregard their actions, speak sweetly to them, and you will find a positive response in due course. I recall one devotee in Australia who told me that they had a work colleague who was particularly challenging to them, very stressful. And based on Swami's advice that love is the solvent for the hardest of hearts, he set about dissolving the hard casing of this fellow employee's hard heart. He said initially when he expressed kindness and sweetness, things actually got a lot worse. And doubt set in. But he kept up his calm, and his responses were calm to the provocations. He maintained his cooperative and helpful approach to this person, going out of his way to serve him whenever there was an opportunity. It was a long 12 months. Then a sudden positive change came about, and when it did, it was significant. It was as though he had transformed completely through the realisation that he had been acting inappropriately. They became firm friends shortly after. The hard-hearted colleague may have had some challenges in his life, but the balm of love healed whatever wounds were there. Love is the solvent for the hardest of hearts. Dear brothers and sisters, I wish you all well in your spiritual journey. It can be a long and difficult road from time to time. Sometimes a backtrack with an occasional troublesome and lonesome period. But in the end, we will find that that arduous journey is only a half metre long. A journey from our heads to our hearts. Travel there and find this inexhaustible spring of love. Om Jai Sai.